Welcome back to LEXi 101, your jump start into using the TradeFormers opening range long entry and exit strategy, LEXi. So we've been looking at the different entry modes in our settings, and we've been looking at our entry mode of 1, which is defined as an opening range breakdown failure. Now here we see a good example of a entry below the OR high after a bar penetrates below the opening range low. See, the opening range low is where LEXi puts its entry line, and this bar goes below the opening range low and then goes back above it, and that is our clue to enter. Now with the settings that we have here, remember, we have properties for all. We're looking inside the bar, but only minute by minute. And that's in our general settings. But in our settings for LEXi, we have, only thing we've done is made entry mode of 1. We also have a 10-day ATR set, and we have enough data, okay, going 13 back to cover those 10 days. So that means if we want, we can set an entry offset amount, and we can make it a percentage of the ATR. If I make that percentage 3% like we've been doing, I still get the entry, but you see that we've now moved the LEXi entry line 3% of an ATR above the OR low. Remember, the offset is always going to be added to the entry. You can, though, if you wanted to, enter a negative number here, and when you do that, it will move the line for entry down. You can enter even earlier. That's a little trick. So you're allowed to enter negative numbers for your offset if you want your offset, if you want to move your entry line down. Typically, though, you're going to move it up. In this case, when we move it to 6%, that would be a positive 6%. Okay, we now have moved it out of range of the first bar, but we're able to get in there on the second bar. Now, for the simplicity of looking at some of these other settings, I'm going to set our offset back to 0, and then we're going to, so that our entry line is right on the OR low. Remember, though, in a breakdown failure, you have to do two things. You have to go below the opening range low and then come back above it to get in. Now, if you want confirmation and avoid the kind of head fakes we saw with our opening range breakouts, you can use all of our confirms. We just saw how to use ATR offset for a fudge factor price confirm, but you can also say, you know what, I want a confirmation. I want to close above the line. So you see, when we do this, we delay our entry 2 bars. We need first 1 bar to poke below, to close below the opening range low, and then we need a bar to close above the opening range low, and then we're good after that close to get in on the opening here of this bar. Remember, we have to wait for the close of this bar to know we've got the confirmation of the entry above the OR low, and then we get in intra-bar on the open of the next bar. We could say, you know what, I want 2 entry confirm bars, and that would work as expected. It would delay us another bar. Another thing we could do that we didn't take a look at in detail is say, you know what, before I get in, I want to make sure I've cleared the previous bar high 1 bar back. And when I do that, you'll see I don't get in here. Okay, I have to wait to clear on a close of the previous bar. So here's my bar below, here's my close, but it's not above the high of the previous bar. I then get a close here above the high of the previous bar, and I'm good to get in here on the entry. So that shows you the extra confirm that you might want to use for entry on a breakdown. And the other thing like that we showed was that you can enter a negative ATR number to have a entry below the point that you wanted. Now, what we want to go back now and take a look at our normal OR breakdown, breakouts. Opening range breakouts is entry mode of 1. I'm sorry, entry mode of 0 is our opening range breakout, the standard default. And we're putting our settings back to 0 to take a look at our basic opening range breakout on this day. So here we don't get a breakout until 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes into the day, and then we get a clean breakout. In fact, not such a bad day to play an opening range breakout. Now, we also have, we had looked at the confirmation settings, such as the offset ATR, which is price confirm, and confirm bars, which is time confirm. But we also have a number of inputs that end with the word clear. Now, high days to clear means just what it says, that if you set it to 1, you're going to have to clear the high of the previous day for entry. Not such a problem. We happen to have an indicator that we could put in here to show the previous day's high, and we're going to use the end day high show me, and this is going to draw a dark line labeled previous high 1 day back, and there it is. Now when we set LEXi to clear the high days to clear to 1, you'll notice that we don't get in until we clear that previous high, and that's where LEXi is drawing its entry line. Now remember, our offsets will apply now. Okay, we have our entry offset. We can make it 3, and that will move LEXi's entry 3% of an ATR above the previous high, which is our new highest entry point. Or, if you want to be tricky, like I showed you, you could say -5, say, and that would be 5% below the previous day's high. So I'm going to set that offset back to 0 just to keep things simple. And we have a few other inputs like this high days to clear. We have, if we want to, we can enter an arbitrary price here. We could turn high days to clear to 0 and say, you know what, I don't want to get in until I clear 129.40. So price to clear for entry 129.40. If I have an entry price above my OR that I know and I want to use, I can enter it right there, and we're not going to enter until we get a tick above that 129.40 price. That's a useful input with nothing else on if you just want to get in at a certain price. In fact, you could use LEXi just to that. I want to get into this stock on a specific time and a specific date. I could use the first date to trade to be 1/11/06/09, which was the date of our chart that we were just looking at, and I can make the earliest time to trade 11 o'clock. And so both of those things will have to be true in order for me to get in. And there you go. I'm right. I get in right after 11, and I am in only on the 9th. So that is the basics of using the clears and the date and times to control entry. We'll see more in the next lesson.